Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into the vibrant and, let's be honest, often audacious world of Boy George.
Absolutely.
Our mission here is to really analyze him as, well, this pivotal artist who fundamentally transformed mainstream pop.
Yeah, shifting it completely.
Right. From that space of pretty conventional gender presentation to one of radical androgyny and fluid identity, he was sort of a master at bridging London's underground club culture with global media.
Especially via MTV, which was huge then.
Exactly.
It really was a watershed moment we're talking about, isn't it?
Oh,
When George Allen O'Dowd, Boy George, first appeared on Top of the
yeah.
Pops. It wasn't just another pop star debut.
Mm,
I mean, you can just imagine the collective gasp across living rooms, right?
definitely.
Seeing this incredible vision appear, it was a complete challenge to what a pop star could, and frankly, what people thought they should look and sound like.
Yeah,
He wasn't just a singer and lyricist, he was really a performance artist. His main medium was his own identity.
that's a great way to put it.
A cultural provocateur,
Yeah.
a key figure in that whole London New Romantic movement.
Mm.
He genuinely used fashion and media
Mm.
like another instrument in the band, an extension of his art.
That's such a powerful opening statement, and it really makes you think about the specific landscape he burst out of. I always find it fascinating how someone from a working class Irish background in Eltham could so boldly embrace this totally avant garde persona.
hmm
How did that early life kind of feed into his, intentional subversion, building this identity almost from scratch?
Well, that contrast is absolutely crucial. It wasn't just a backstory detail. It was kind of the foundation for his subversive genius.
Right.
He wasn't simply adopting a persona. He was, in a way, reclaiming high fashion from this sort of elite space and democratizing audacious self-expression.
Making it accessible.
Exactly. Accessible, maybe even aspirational for a much wider audience who might have felt, dismissed by the establishment.
Right.
And think about late 70s, early 80s Britain.
Yeah, the context.
It was this really interesting socio-political landscape, wasn't it?
Hmm.
A sort of melting pot where the new romantic movement bubbling up in clubs like the infamous Blitz.
Right, the Blitz Club.
And these weren't just places to dance. They were like crucibles for experimenting with self-presentation, a really flamboyant escape from the everyday norm.
Okay, so I've got the visual spectacle, the context. But what about the sound? How did his distinctive vocal style play into this radical identity, especially when you contrast it with that visual image?
Ah, well, that's where the brilliance of Culture Club truly shone, I think.
Mhm.
Their core artistic identity was this incredible synthesis. You had Blue-Eyed Soul, that soulful R&B sound interpreted by white artists, but then these deep reggae bass lines
The reggae feel.
and these really polished pop melodies. It was a sonic fusion that was, well, as diverse and groundbreaking as the band's lineup
Which
itself.
was also diverse.
Absolutely. And his vocal style. It was distinctively soulful, often quite melancholic, usually delivered without much affectation, which, directly contrasted with the incredible artifice of his visual image.
So the voice was almost grounded.
In a way, yes. You hear that melismatic phrasing stretching one syllable over multiple notes, creating that really soulful, drawn-out feel and that sort of rich timbral warmth. You realize this wasn't just about the look. The voice was equally compelling, drawing heavily from those deep soul and reggae traditions.
And their breakthrough work, that 1982 album, Kissing to Be Clever, it seems to perfectly showcase this blend. The single, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me, really stands out, doesn't it?
Cool completely.
What makes that particular track so significant in the context of his broader artistic mission?
Do You Really Want to Hurt Me
Cool.
is just a masterclass in subtle subversion. Its creation was apparently steeped in vulnerability, and musically, that reggae-light feel gave it this soft, soulful counterpoint to his visually challenging persona.
Right, the contrast again.
Exactly. And consider how it subtly wove themes of vulnerable masculinity into a global ballad. This was at a time when pop heroes were often expected to embody this kind of stoic strength.
Yeah, very different.
That was the quiet revolution happening right there, inside that catchy melody. And it aligns perfectly with his stated philosophy. He actually said in his autobiography something about using his appearance as suburban terrorism,
Wow.
or that he wanted to be both man and woman. It was all about, elevating individualism and subverting social and aesthetic norms through his art.
And the impact of that intention was, well, undeniably global. His work, his image. It forced conversations about androgyny, gender fluidity, sexuality right into family living rooms, London, New York, everywhere.
Hmm.
His core philosophy, it seems, was to use that massive visibility he had to create a space for outsiders, showing that identity itself could be this really powerful, defiant form of artistic expression.
And what's fascinating there is how he became such a key architect of what people call the Second British Invasion.
Right, onto MTV.
He understood the power of the music video, the power of MTV, arguably better than almost anyone else at that exact moment. And that sharp awareness allowed him to really pave the way for a whole generation of artists after him to openly play with gender and identity in the mainstream.
Showing it could be done.
Not just done, but could be globally successful.
It is remarkable how universally celebrated he became. But was there ever a perception, maybe from critics back then, that the visual artistry sometimes overshadowed the musical depth? Or is that just part of the genius of it all?
That's a really perceptive question. I mean, while some might have focused initially on the visual shock, perhaps, the sheer crossover success of Culture Club speaks volumes, doesn't it?
I really do.
Here you had a band that was racially integrated, fronted by this gender non-conforming individual, achieving massive global superstardom. We're talking #1 hits like Karma Chameleon, which went gold in the U.S.
And this was in the early 80s.
Exactly. In the pretty conservative cultural climate of the U.S. and U.K. during the peak of his career, say 82 to 84, that defiant success kind of proved the music was compelling enough on its own to carry the message. It showed how deeply his unique blend resonated.
So if we connect this all to the bigger picture then, what would you say is Boy George's most unique, most enduring contribution to pop culture?
I think his unique contribution was his absolute mastery of the pop song as a vehicle for these quite radical social ideas.
Right.
He proved that subculture could be successfully exported to the masses, beamed into living rooms, without necessarily losing its disruptive power. And his artistic longevity is pretty remarkable, too.
Beyond the Culture Club, yeah.
Yeah, beyond the band. He had that commercially successful solo album, Sold, back in '87, and then the critically noted single, The Crying Game, in '92.
And that's not even touching on his significant second career, really. Starting in the late 80s, he completely reinvented himself as this international house music DJ.
Reestablishing his credibility there, too.
Totally, within electronic music culture. Plus, he's authored 2 widely read autobiographies, Take It Like a Man and Straight. And he even composed the music and lyrics for Taboo.
The musical, right?
Yeah.
Which serves as this sort of historical document of the whole new romantic era.
Exactly.
So this does raise an important question. What does all this mean for his lasting cultural footprint? I mean, he didn't just push boundaries. He fundamentally expanded the definition of masculinity in pop culture.
That feels right.
Boy George really remains a touchstone for conversations about identity, about art, about authenticity. His legacy, I think, reminds us that true artistic impact often comes from those who dare to be themselves, completely unapologetically, on the biggest stages imaginable.
His story really does encourage you, the listener, to consider how art in all its forms challenges norms. It makes you wonder, what other artists, past or present, have pushed boundaries in similar ways, maybe even more subtly? It's definitely a fascinating rabbit hole to explore on your own.